It was a freezing winter morning in New York City. People hurried past without looking at anyone around them. On a street corner sat a 13-year-old homeless girl named Emma. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, but she still smiled at strangers, hoping someone would notice her. Suddenly, a black luxury SUV slammed on its brakes. A little girl had wandered into the busy street. Cars were speeding toward her. People screamed, but nobody moved. Without thinking for a second, Emma sprinted into traffic. She grabbed the little girl and pushed her to safety. A speeding car barely missed Emma by inches. The little girl burst into tears. Moments later, a well-dressed businessman rushed over. It was the girl's father, one of the richest businessmen in America. He hugged his daughter tightly before turning to Emma. Her hands were shaking. Her clothes were torn. She quietly whispered, "I'm glad she's okay." Before he could thank her, Emma suddenly collapsed from hunger and exhaustion. An ambulance rushed her to the hospital. Doctors discovered something heartbreaking. Emma wasn't sick. She had simply gone days without proper food. The billionaire couldn't believe it. A girl who had nothing had risked everything to save his daughter. The next morning, he returned to the hospital. But Emma was gone. She had quietly left because she didn't want to be a burden. The businessman searched the entire city. For days, no one could find her. Finally, they discovered Emma sleeping under an old bridge. When he approached her, she became frightened. She thought he had come to send her away. Instead, he knelt beside her and said, "You saved the most precious person in my life. Now let me save yours." Tears filled Emma's eyes. Weeks later, she moved into a safe home. She returned to school. She finally celebrated her first real birthday. Years passed. Emma graduated with honors. She became a pediatric doctor, helping children whose families couldn't afford treatment. At the opening of her free children's clinic, the billionaire stood in the crowd, smiling proudly. Reporters asked him, "Why did you spend millions helping one homeless girl?" He smiled and answered, "Because when everyone else stood still, she was the only one brave enough to move." Sometimes, the richest heart belongs to the person with the emptiest pockets.